T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Coolest reptile podcast in the world. Welcome to Trap Talk Reptile Podcast, episode 421. It is Tuesdays, and we're all up in the tree, baby. All up in the tree Tuesdays. We have Bruce Carpenter from BMC Bioscience sitting down with me and the couple of homies who I'm about to drop here in just a second. But what is good, everyone? Hope everyone's having a glorious week so far. I'm your boy, MJ. How's everyone doing out there? Is this your first time hanging out with us? If you're into keeping reptiles, either admiring, breeding, or whatever, man, this is the channel to be a part of. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, select all. You'll be on top of every single podcast I drop here on this channel. I drop 3 podcasts, all reptile related, on this channel every week. Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays belong to the trap. That's a fact. All right. So if you want to be on top of all the most relevant breeders, all the most relevant piece of information, this is the channel to be a part of. Thank you for all the love and support. If you listen to Trap Talk Reptile Podcast on all the major audio platforms, such as Buzzsprout, Apple, Spotify, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. No matter where you listen to Trap Talk, thank you so much. But drop some comments in the comment section. Give me some feedback. Let me know what you like out of each episode. Let me know what you're learning, first and foremost. Thank you for hanging out with me, man. Thank you for spending your life with me. And shout out to the early birds. Get to you guys in just a second. Do you want to say support USARK? Shout to USARK. Shout out to Phil Goss. Shout out to anyone who supports USARK. Thank you for being on the same team as me. But this channel is a USARK Gold member. We represent all day, every day. Please, if you have no idea what USARK means or what it's all about, I put the website to USARK in the description below. All right, scroll down to about the third link or so. Click on that. Read up about it. Become a part of the USARK family. Numbers are very important, especially when it comes to legislations. And you never know what this industry is going to get hit with. All right, it's pretty wild what we went through this year. In 2024, who knows what's to come. Thank you again for supporting USARK if you do. I want to say that tonight's episode is brought to you by the Reptile Breeder Show, a holiday reptile breeder show happening this Saturday in downtown Los Angeles, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's a free show, guys. Shout out to Bomb Project, KG&D, for doing such an epic thing for the West Coast. West Coast definitely needs more legit shows, and they're stepping up to the plate, so I'm stoked. Guess what? I'll be there for sure. I'll be deep there with a couple homies and see what's good, see who's vending. I know I saw some pretty legit vendors that are going to be there this Saturday. Looking forward to see what they're bringing, but ball pythons, geckos, amphibians, spiders, bunch of cool stuff going to be vended here at this show. So go check it out. It's a free show. All you have to do is go to reptilebreedershow.com and RSVP. If you RSVP, you get to roll into that show for free. Again, shout out to KGD, the Bomb Project. Shout out to the sponsors of this show, which is Morph Market and Ship Your Reptiles. And yeah, cannot wait to see you guys this Saturday. And let me know if you're going. Drop a comment. Can't wait. It's going to be epic. I do want to say also tonight's episode is brought to you by my guy, Gary Shavino, GS Reptiles. Definitely one of my favorite YouTube channels when it comes to reptile content, just because I'm all about having fun. Too many people out here are just too serious sometimes. And it's kind of like, whoa, relax. You know what I mean? GS Reptiles helps me relax because it's fucking fun to learn from this guy, man. And he's a good buddy of mine. So either way, shout out to Gary Shavino. If you don't know who Gary Shavino is, I'm putting you on game right now. You can thank me later. But type in GS Reptiles on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Let's get my guy to 10K. And then also follow Gary Shavino, GS Reptiles, on Instagram. All right? Lots to learn from a man, Gary. And thank you so much, Gary, for being a real one and always supporting the trap. Really means a lot. I also want to say that tonight's episode is brought to you by my homie Doug over at Ridiculous RHACS. All right? Pretty sure these things are in trees. So shout out to this sponsor, my homie Doug. I'm a huge, giant lychee guy, man. I mean, I don't have a shit ton. I have one, but I appreciate this species of reptiles. So neat, so prehistoric. And man, Doug's doing it right by these projects. So go check them out. Ridiculous RHACS on IG. and he's also at every Tinley. Cannot miss this guy. He's a heavy hitter. Shout to homie Doug. And last but not least, shout to my quail hookup. It's legit to have a freezer full of diversity when it comes to feeding your reptiles. And one thing that I have in my freezer are quails. Fresh, top tier produced quails by my homie Blake over at Blake Exotic Animal Feeders. All right. Head over to Blake Exotic Feeders on IG. Go follow him and go be one of those people to submit an order with him and go see what these quail are all about. Again, thank you so much to the homie Blake for putting me on. Super stoked to be having high quality quail in my freezer ready to rock and roll for my monitors, certain snake species, you name it, man. Shout out to homie Blake. All right, guys, early birds. I'll get to you guys in a minute, but got to say what's up to my co-host for tonight. We got Marshall Mendez, Red Mountain Herbs. And
what's up? What's up?
Here in Chondro Town, Bill Stiegel. What's up, buddy?
How's everybody?
Top of the
Doing
night.
good.
How you guys doing?
Doing great.
Tuesday night, ready to roll.
You ready to rock? How you doing, Marshall?
Excellent.
Gonna need crazy content.
Doing good. Not this week.
No?
No, I did just score tickets to fish at the Sphere, so I'm psyched about that.
Oh, we know. Aren't you going to Vegas too for something? Or wasn't there something you're going to?
Yeah, fish at the Sphere.
Oh, that's what you're talking about. Okay,
Yeah.
And those tickets weren't cheap.
They were not cheap. No.
And were they typically more expensive because where that venue is? Is it because it's that new venue?
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. I did the hotel package, so I've got a hotel right connected to the place. It's gonna be pimp. I'm looking forward to it.
Damn, that ball python money coming in strong.
That's right. That's right.
Man. Well, yeah, we're not talking. No ball pythons tonight, though, Bill. Please, we don't want to get Marshall going. He's gonna get too excited.
I know how he's funded Blade Ultramills. Pretty much take care of his fish concert shit.
That's right.
Hey,
that's right.
Marshall, there's going to have to be a time and place where I have a show on a trap talk with you, and we're going in about why you don't label a lot of your stuff Blade, because a lot of people out there are confused about that. So just be ready.
I'm confused about it too. So.
All right. Well, listen, I want to say hi to everyone in the early birds. If you guys can we say hi to some of the early birds that are here in the chat who are excited for tonight's show? Yeah, are you guys okay with that?
Yeah, go for it.
Listen, I'm busy saying hi to all the early birds.
It's all good. Listen,
I can't read my phone, so
you're good. Don't worry about it. I'm going to read them for you guys. Don't worry about it. And just so they're going nuts. But if you are in the live chats tonight, if you think that tonight's episode is worth of any super chats, drop a super chat, please. Especially if you have a question or an important topic that relates to what we're talking about. Drop that super chat and we'll prioritize it, man. But who's here tonight? Simone, Pierre, Dave. Oh my God, what a name. Bill, you want to help me with that one?
I just call him SP David.
SPDF. Oh man. See, Simone. I'm gonna call you Simone, man. I think Simone's hard. Or Pierre. I think Pierre's sick. I'm gonna call you Pierre, buddy.
What if it's Simon?
Oh my God. Did I say Simone?
Yeah. Might be Simon Pierre.
Simon Pierre sounds a lot more legit. Simon Pierre in the building, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing, buddy? Mark Anthony, the building, Trap Talk Patreon member. What's up, buddy? All City Serpents. Homie James in the building, another Trap Talk Patreon member. Blue 42 Pythons in the building. What is good? The homie Diego. I know you've met him, Bill. The homie Diego, who's local. Yes. Me. What a guy. Trap Talk Patreon member. Yep. JD in the building. Meter Serpents. Bill Hoffman. What a guy. We met him at
Wild Bill.
Wild Bill.
Wild Bill.
Yeah, we got to meet Bill at Bill Stiegel's pre-party, which was a hell of a time. Marshall, what's your agenda as far as you getting back to a Bill Stiegel party one of these times?
I mean, hopefully the next one.
That's the right answer.
That's gonna be April, right?
Yeah. No,
yeah.
Isn't it? It's not February.
No, February's gone, bro.
We moved it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they moved
it. So it depends if when maybe April. You know, I got other plans for April already, so we'll see.
Fish concert, right? Fuck.
Yep.
Jesus Christ. Man, it's hard to catch Marshall, man. I'm trying to get his ass out here to Cali, and it's like, man, but you'll be out here for Trap Fest, right?
I'm planning on it, yes.
Oh, God, okay, here we go. All right. Steve Doss in the building. This guy's a character. Thank you so much, Steve Doss, for being here. Row 5.0, Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Drew Russell. Definitely you owe me an episode, buddy. Drew Russell in the building. What's up, buddy?
Mountain Drew.
Mountain Drew. legendary snake killing it in the game, by the way, because of that snake came from Jew, right? Is that the background of that snake?
Yeah.
Wow. And that's really good looking snake, by the way, Bill.
I agree.
Father Blue in the building. What is up? How are you? And we're gonna end this in style, man. Shout out to the homie Jason Earl from Jason's Earl's Exotics, all because he has a Chondro picture as a profile pic. But hey, guys, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm pretty looking forward to tonight's guest for so many different reasons. So I don't know about you guys, but you ready just to bring the homie Bruce Carpenter on and get this shit going, or what?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for responding to me right now. I appreciate that. But here we go, guys. It is game time. Do what you got to do to get your mind right. Do what you got to do to stay hydrated, because we are really high up in the trees tonight. Got Bruce Carpenter, BMC Bioscience, coming at you right now. Get ready to learn. Let's go. Cheers. You ready for do more in the future? Trap Talk podcasts?
Yes.
Man.
Only Trap Talk. Exclusive.
Yes.
Exclusive. Oh.
So stop calling us.
Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the crop, gotta love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody, we do it. Everybody, we do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up.
And we're live, episode 421 with Bruce Carpenter. What's up, Bruce?
Hey guys,
How are
What's
you?
up, Bruce?
Bill,
Hi, Bruce.
Marshall,
How you doing, man?
good to be here.
Yeah.
Very excited.
Have you met these guys at all, Bruce, personally, or is this your first time coming, like, actually meeting yourself with them?
I've met Bill at Tinley. I think it wasn't this Tinley. It's maybe a year ago, fall Tinley,
Okay.
and the same one I ran into you at. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I have yet to meet Marshall. That's one I
Yeah.
want to check off my list. Marshall, do you go to the shows?
I do, yeah, most of them.
Yeah.
I didn't go this year. I had a conflict, but most of the time I do go to Tinley in the fall.
Tinley. How about Daytona? Do you go that one?
I used to, but Daytona's kind of hard for me to get to. It's like a 10-hour drive, and Chicago, there's an easy direct flight, so I can, be up there in 2.5 hours, and it's an easier deal for me than trying to get to Daytona. So I haven't done Daytona in a while.
Yeah, that's one I'm going to try to routinely do. I took the wife there. We had a lot of fun this year, and we plan to go back. And of course, Tinley's pretty close to us. It's just a 4 to 4.5 hour drive. So that's one I routinely do unless I have some sort of family commitment.
You're in the state.
Where are you? Where are you located?
Yeah. Where are you at?
Bloomington, Indiana. Yeah,
Oh,
let me go
okay.
into my canned BMC speech real quick here, and then we'll get on to just normal stuff.
Yeah. Take the floor.
So-
Please do, Bruce. Please.
So as MJ mentioned, I'm Bruce Carpenter. I'm the CEO of BMC Bioscience. We are a registered biotechnology company focused on species-specific research of green tree pythons in captivity. We are located in Bloomington, Indiana, 10 miles from Indiana University, 45 miles from Westgate Technology Park, and 90 miles from Purdue University. And when I take off my CEO hat, which I'm doing right now, I love designer chondros, man. I love the locality stuff too. And I love jungle carpet pythons. I love terrestrials, but it's an arboreal show, so we're not going to talk about that. But I'm a keeper of reptiles, just like everyone. At the end of the day, I'm just a keeper, and I love having them.
I want to know
And
more
that's
about.
it.
I want to know more about BMC Bioscience. Like, when was it established? Why was it established? And let's get into that first and foremost.
Let's see. I believe that lit off in 2020. So yeah, this is our third year. I come from a laboratory background. I have 33.5 years experience in the labs, and I'm a senior scientist. I'm thinking about retiring. Actually, I was going to ask Bill. Bill, do you regret retiring, or are you good with your decision? Because they say you know when you know.
Oh yeah, my only regret is I didn't do it 3 years earlier.
Mhm.
So yeah,
I am.
very very happy to have done it. I miss the people. I don't miss the work. I don't miss the hours. But I certainly have found enough stuff here to keep me busy.
Yeah, I could go in February, but I'm going to stick around. I feel like I'm still making some really meaningful contributions in the career, and then you know, the snakes are just tugging on me, man. I've always loved it. I got into this in 1991, and I always said I work with inanimate objects by day, and I love coming home to the reptiles at night and just sinking into them. It's such a beautiful cutoff from the day grind.
Yeah, in 1991, what were you keeping? Like, what? Like, were you chondros in 1991 or?
No. My first snake, I chose I did some research on it. I mean, I read a lot of books. I don't know if you guys can tell or not, but I usually spend about a year reading books before I get into a new species. And I decided I just had to have a reticulated python for my first snake.
Oh, what a choice! What a choice!
Great choice.
Yeah, and I got that from a reptile shop up by the Indianapolis 500 Speedway called Speedway Reptile Shop. And the guy that was just keeping the reptiles there, he could tell I was well read. And he's like, I am so glad you're getting this. This is like my baby. I've taken care of it since it's come in, and it's in really good shape. And he's like, would you like to come over to the room? And I'm not even sure I knew what a herp room was then. I was like, yeah, sure. Yeah, whatever. And that was my first introduction to, oh, wait, you can set up a whole room full of all kinds of snakes. You know, at the time I just wanted one.
Right. And that was 1991, you said, right? That was
1991. I will say, leading up to that, like I always had the interest in it. When I was in college, I had, through a mutual friend, the opportunity to meet John Mack. You guys have heard of that name, right? John? He's
Yep.
In the show circuit. I believe he's a show sponsor. And he's actually fired up another local show over in the Cincinnati area that I need to check out. But John was quite inspiring to me. That was my first exposure to a serious dude that knew how to keep a variety of species. And I was like, man, when I graduate and get stabilized in my own place, I'm gonna do what Mac's doing. You know?
Right. And then what was the like species that kind of opened up the floodgates for you? Because I know retic was the first snake, but like once you got to the level of starting to keep a lot of reptiles, what was your choice?
Well, I started getting into the ball pythons. I met a gentleman through the way we did it back then was there would be these newsletters that would come out. They were in our area. It was called The Trader. And there was on the back page, there was reptiles listed. And there was a guy named Bill Rawlinson, I believe, up in Indy. And at first he sold me a ball python. And I took care of that for a while. And then we became friends, and I realized he was getting imports out of Chicago. And he would call me up and he'd say, hey, I'm getting a drop. Would you want to come up and help me sort these out and pick ticks off them and whatever? And I would go up and sit with Bill and we would sort through stuff. And this was before we had MORPHs. And so I would, of course, I'd pay for them, but I would pick a couple I wanted. And then Bill would pick a couple, and then he would sell the rest on the Indiana Trader.
Wow. So did you ever get heavy into the ball python game? Like, did you like have a collection and started
Yeah,
breeding?
I had like maybe a half dozen, and I would just throw them all together. A lot of us would do that back then, is just throw them all. We didn't have morphs, so all we wanted to do was breed and see if we could reproduce them.
Right.
And so I'd throw them all together, and I'd have a little luck, and yeah, it kind of worked out that way. I will say, I gotta say another pivotal moment for me for actually getting good at breeding was I traveled a lot back then, and I finally had linked into. I had a business trip to Texas one year,
Right.
and I was close enough. I think it was still a drive for me, but I called Dave and Tracy Parker up just out of the blue. And I don't even know where I got their number. It must have been in a Reptile magazine or something. And Tracy picked up, and I was like, "Hey, my name's Bruce Carpenter. Really interested in snakes. I really love what you guys are doing. I was wondering if you would have the time after I get off work to maybe if I could come on down and see what you guys are up to." And they were so welcoming, and they took me in. I actually took a day off. I spent a day with them. They took me in.
You got to go check out the Barkers like operation and everything. You got to see everything.
Yeah, VPI. When I walked up there, so Bernie, Texas, I believe, was there, and when I pulled in, they had an outdoor setup with a reticulated python. This was a big snake, probably every bit of 20 foot, up in a tree. And I looked at that and I was like, oh man, these guys just rock. You know, I was so excited. And they were so welcoming. And Tracy mostly spent the most time with me. Dave came on in. He must have been doing something and just introduced himself to me. Right. And Tracy showed me cradle to grave how they did everything. And then in the back then, they would set up in like these maybe 33 to 50 gallon trash cans, fill them with vermiculite water mix, put a glass top on it, put an egg mass in there, control off the egg mass, and that's how they did it.
Yeah. Bruce, maybe you can get him to come on the podcast.
I've wrote them once, and they do not respond. So I actually mentioned it to Patrick once. It's like, if someone could tell them that thank you so much, kind of
Dave and Tracy are awesome. They were when I was there. The National Geographic did a special on them. I think it's called, I forget what it's called, Crazy for Pythons or something like that. But it was on Nat Geo, and I had snakes most of my life. I just got out of college and didn't have any snakes in college, and saw this special on Nat Geo about their whole operation, and that's what got me fired up to get back into snakes again. And when I was trying to breed chondros, they were a huge help to me for my first clutch. I credit them for, with helping me more than anybody else. How to hatch them, how to breed them, how to do everything. They were they're awesome. Yeah.
I had to scale things a little different for here because you guys, Texas is a lot warmer. They did things a little bit different, and I was also working with smaller species with the ball python. So I just did some scaling down math, real simple cross multiplication. I knew the size of their volume and the size of their how much they filled up, and then I reduced all that to these small trash cans that I still have today. And I'd write all my dates of what I hatched and when I hatched it, and it was just so simple. And I did that. I incubated that way up till I think about 2012 or so. Just a little trash can set up with a glass top on it.
Bruce, I don't want to get off track, but I wanted to follow up with MJ's question. I'm dying to know more about your company.
Me too. Thank you.
Okay.
You're dedicated. It's dedicated to green trees. You've been founded 3 years now. So
yes.
Do you have any employees? And I'm not familiar with any of your work. So are you doing research on green trees? Yeah. And if so, what kind of research are you doing?
A lot of it is paper research, gathering up what has been done or what has been done in similar species and looking for maybe gaps where I could fill in and maybe do a little bit more. I don't operate as an ISO 1,000 certified lab here. I'm operating out of my home. All of my colony is in my basement. I have a double quarantine area with some animals too down the hallway here. But I do mostly paper research. But as I was building up, I mean, it takes a little bit to get the species. I wanted to get all of the species from the recent delimitation of 2019 or 2020, right? And I think several of us went about doing this when the new species delimitation came out. And so it took me a little time to acquire M. viridis, Morelia jure pulcher, Morelia jure, Morelia jure utariensis. I got those groupings, and I formed a brief agreement with Daniel Natush to look over stuff and help me, what I call multi-factor authenticate it. So he told me, buy from a trusted source. He gave me the source that he was most comfortable with, and it's one that a lot of us use. And then he said, I will help you look at them, and then go ahead and have some hobby subject matter experts look at them. And we don't have GPS coordinates, but this is the best we can do. And he would serve as a peer reviewer to say, yeah, this is the best we can do. And he is working within the species when he studies this kind of stuff. So I geared up for that. Then I had to be able to breed them. And while I was doing all this in parallel, I decided I found what I thought was a gap in UV applied to chondros. And so that was the first topic that I wanted to explore, was applying low levels of UV to chondros in captivity. There was a previous study done on ball pythons, and we looked that over, and we used similar levels to that because that had passed a animal welfare review. And then just to double check that, I got another senior scientist to peer review my approach, and that was Dr. Justin Eulander. And Justin was gracious enough to get on a Zoom call with me. His time was 3 a.m. He got on a Zoom call with me. I was trying to sync it up with Daniel as well, and we had miscommunication with Daniel, and he wasn't able to participate. But it was just Justin and I. We talked it all through. I showed him my whole preliminary setup, and I got 2 check marks in the box on that. So the goal then was, all right, now I got to breed these things. I got to get the numbers to have the minimum numbers to statistically justify the experiment. So in this particular case, for that experiment, we arrived at 4 subjects under the condition and 4 control subjects that would be kept dark, like normal people, like all of us keep them, in like a rack tub. And that's kind of how we went about doing that. I guess explain the experiment a little bit. Like, what are you trying to?
The hypothesis, and
well, we just want to see how do they respond? Do they establish in UV? Well, I'll just tell you, they did. Do they change? Does their OCC change differently if they're in UV versus if they're in dark? Is their growth rate the same as the controls? Just general behavior. And so I just do some very rudimentary documentation of those sorts of things. And I also do snout to vent measurements. I stayed off caliper head measurements because I didn't want to interfere with their feeding responses. And particularly, I started out with MA pulcher, which are notorious difficult feeders to start. And so, that's kind of how I went about doing it.
So you're using 4, they're all pulcher, you said? So your 8 subjects?
Well, I was fortunate enough to nail both MA pulcher and M. viridis and get them both going in parallel in the experiment at the same time. So we got two species, and I would like to follow that up with more as I make them.
And are they siblings? Sorry. Go ahead, Bill.
How far along are they? I mean, with UV, UV exposure?
Yeah, 9 to 11 months in. Yeah, I get that? Yeah, 9 to 10 months. My bad. I had 3 clutches crisscrossing each other in the incubator at once to get this pulled off, and so yeah, they're 9 to 10 months. Yeah,
and are they siblings? Are all the Polker siblings and all the Viridis siblings, or they're different?
Well, the parents
unrelated.
Were, unrelated. Yeah, they were farm source. Mm-hmm.
Okay, but all the test subjects are siblings?
Yes, that's correct. Yes. Same clutch.
So I have a question, Bruce. The point you're trying to prove with the UV is what exactly?
I just want to see if it does anything with them. You know, how do they respond to it? Does it help them in any way? So here's the way I look at it. We have genotype, right? And then phenotype plus environment.
Do you know the difference between those two, by the way? I'm just curious.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So genotype is the genes from the parents, and then the phenotype plus the environment contributes to the look. So yeah, that's what we're looking at is, are there any other environmental things that impact the look? Like when we see these biologists go out and take pictures of these animals in the wild, they really pop. I mean, they are just neon bright and stick out. And sometimes, not always, in the locality specifics, they can sometimes just look, in my opinion, jail pale, like they're not getting everything. And there might be a nutrition aspect to that, but there might be also some environmental stuff. So I thought I would target something I'm familiar with, is the electromagnetic spectrum, and just figuring out, you know, what does UV do or do not do with them.
Yeah, how do we explain ball pythons then? Because ball pythons love the dark. Like they love dark places. They could give 2 shits about any kind of light, and then those are kind of, you know, the most popular looking snakes out, I would say, you know, in a sense. So how does that? Like,
I don't know. Somebody had grant money and they wanted to study ball pythons, I guess. But I'm set up very similar, you know, to that experiment.
So, Bruce, you have produced 2 clutches of green trees, is that correct? From imported wild-caught adults? Is that right?
6. I've done 6 clutches, yeah. So this, in 2023, I produced 3 clutches. I did sarongs, arus, and then a designer outcross to Cyclops. So 50% TW blue, 50% CBB Cyclops. Those were it was a Vitali Romanov male sire, VR13.5, and I had actually tried that project in 2019. Got a clutch of eggs and crashed them all, and cut the eggs open. And I saw how beautiful they were, and I'm like, oh man, I gotta nail this. I gotta nail it. These are gonna be pretty babies if I can nail it. So.
How'd you nail it?
Well, you know, I listened to your show and I learned from everyone that I talked to. Mm-hmm. And I did link into a mentor in John Irby, helped out a lot, getting me up to speed. And then later on, I through the forums, I'd met Christian Stewart. And he gave me some additional tips that John just had overlooked for whatever reason. And I was right there anyways. And that just put me over the top and I nailed it.
What are the tips, man? Help us out. I'm losing.
Get Christian on the show. I'll talk about what I do and what my
just tell me what you did. Yeah. What did you do? Yeah, I'm curious what you did. That's all.
Okay, so I put them in an incubator and I cooked them, you know, and I don't know what
temps.
Okay, so that's tricky. I had previous experience. So in the previous year, I did just sarongs, and I felt I had cooked them too low. Mm-hmm. I had some luck hatching some out, and I want to show you a baby later. It's not a baby anymore. It's almost 2 years old.
I like to visualize, Bruce. So can you give me numbers here? Like what's too low? What's the number you're at now? Like that.
So I try to go what everyone's doing, go lower and lower. I think I set it at 87.3, my incubator.
Okay.
And I didn't have good yolk absorption. And so some of the neos that hatched out carried their egg around the hatch tub. And I had a sim container grid in there, and they would hang up on that and rupture their umbilical cord.
Yeah.
And it's so exciting to see them come out, and then it's so disappointing to see them kill themselves, within minutes on that. Yeah. And so I was like, boy, this is really rough. But I did hatch a couple of those out and establish them. One resides with one of your friends, and then I've got the other one here.
Yeah. So then now the temp that you go with is what?
Okay. Well, so for a tri-clutch, I knew I had 3 going at once. I'm like, man, I need to go a little warmer to get the sarongs to hatch. And then I got these 50% designer, 50% cyclops, and I know what Vitali cooks at. And then I've got Arus. So I hedged. I went 87.4, and I rode the high side. And I had really good hatch rate.
You went a decimal more higher, and that's the high side?
Yeah, 0.1. I went 0.1 higher on my incubator set. I use a Sea Serpents 48-inch controlled with a Herpstat 1. So that's probably pretty common to what a lot of people use. And
how are you measuring your temps, Bruce? I always wondered people that talk in like 0.5 degree temperature increments, 0.1, unless you've got a super, high-end calibrated, thermometer. And I tell people all the time, you could be a full degree off.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll use. Trying to think if I used it in that 3 clutch. I was using a sensor push in there, and I put them in the egg boxes. Christian's not a big fan of anything like that near eggs, so I think I got rid of that for the tri-clutch. So
those are egg box temperatures, not incubator temperatures.
No, that was incubation chamber temperatures in the egg box. It gets
in the egg box. Okay.
Yeah, depending on where you are in your cook, and things really heat up by what day. Seems to me like day 47 is when you really see things going nuts, and it's just like a day of that last burst of life, cells forming, and the exothermic reaction coming off that. You can just see it. It's almost better not to have, once you get some sight and comfort with breeding these things or cooking them, incubating them, it's almost better not to look at data right in the egg box, because you'll freak out to see how those things spike in temperature.
Now, do you like to provide air holes and whatnot in your egg box, or are you completely sealed, or how do you do your?
I do a vented egg box. I do a 1-to-1 vermiculite mix, just like the Barkers did. And when I got talking to John, like he had mentioned that he was doing that, and he hadn't really released that information in any of the groups yet. So I just sat on it, and I waited for maybe him to talk about it, and he finally did, and he showed pictures and stuff. And so I was using that all along. I was really comfortable working with vermiculite, and that just worked out really well for me. And I do run vent holes in the box, and then if I just kind of I read the egg and just see what it needs. If it's deflating, or if it's really puffed up, I don't do anything, and I just kind of read the egg and try to. I call it egg zen. I write that on my spreadsheet every time I start a cook. It's egg zen, like you're putting out a little headband with an egg on the middle there. And yeah, if you need to open vents, open them. If you need them closed, close them.
Yeah. So you have vents 24/7 during incubation, but then maybe you provide more holes if needed as well. Like, so you have like taped up holes as well, or
yeah, I'll just tape or untape as I go. And at this point, I've used a variety of holes, a variety of configurations where the holes are. Yeah. One of the boxes I had well over 1/4-inch holes, and like one hole on each side of the box. And then I would just maybe tape half of it if I thought it needed it, or tape it all up, or I know where my air is flowing from. Maybe tape 3 holes and leave 1 hole open, let it kind of drift in. Just kind of do that. But it's, I think that part is a lot by feel, and that's unfortunate. It's just like, I think we all have unique ambience. We all have somewhat unique incubation chambers, and then maybe we do our egg boxes all a little different. And so it almost comes down to you need to just, that's one where you just got to learn with bullets flying. Unfortunately, you just got to know what the egg needs.
Yeah, I mean, shit, Bill does things different. Marshall does things different as far as like anyone else here. I mean, I think that's exactly right. I think everyone has their unique ambient. They have their unique style of room, and it really comes down to you not listening to fucking nobody else but yourself and see what works for you. Because Bill, you're like 88, close to 88 sometimes. I mean, you're not someone to watch the measurements. You just know whatever you do fucking works, right, Bill? From what I know.
Well, I think more important than, a 0.1 or 0.2 degree temperature measurement is consistency. And you can't have big spikes. You can't have over 1 degree spikes continually throughout that incubation process. So you want to incubate at 87, you want to incubate at 88. I think both anywhere in that range, I think has been pretty reliable for me, again, as long as you're not having big moves. And again, I feel like the measuring equipment that we're using is nowhere near enough to say the 0.1 degree is even fathomable, that you could even measure that unless you're using some very, very high powered, high monitored, these thermometers that are measured in ice, and then they're calibrated at extreme temperatures. And I certainly don't do any of that. So I'm not comfortable saying like 87.5 versus 87.4. I just say get it in a range, keep it there, don't have major spikes in your temperature, and pretty much just leave the damn things alone.
Yeah.
I still use the Helix basic system on my incubator, and it's adjustable by 1 degree increments. So I don't have
degree. Yeah.
I know some guys that are using ink birds. Those are like plus or minus 3 degrees accuracy. So they're just comfortable cooking eggs. They know their environment. They know their chamber inside and out. I mean, I probably did easily a year of thermal surveys. Well, okay, I started with a DIY incubator. That's where I crashed my first eggs. Right. And so then I took that DIY incubator all over my house looking for the best spot. The best spot was right in my kitchen, right over here across. And the wife was like, that's not going to happen. And so I was like, well, I think I would be doing better with a larger volume anyways. And that Bill, like I've studied, if you put it out there on YouTube or anywhere, I've probably studied your setup. And I've looked at Bill. Bill, you're running like a pop freezer type thing, like a refrigerator type, a big one. Yeah. And I'm almost thinking that large volume is helpful in some way.
There's over like 20 vlogs of Bill's collection already at this point. The guy hides nothing. He fucking
I'm wide open, transparent. I think you're right, Bruce. I think that with a larger volume incubator, you have more room for error.
Yeah.
But you also have more room for variation on the different levels of the incubator in temperature, which doesn't necessarily is a bad thing. You just have to know where you are.
Yeah. And then if you are doing like a multi-clutch cook like I was doing, that if you know your chamber, that buys you space. I mean, it's not you have gradients within your incubator, and you got to know where they are. Like on mine, I wish I could have gotten on my sea serpents, and I still need to do the mod on it. I want a shelf in between where the two shelves, where the OEM made the shelves. I want a shelf in between that, and I need the space to be able to get my hand up inside the container. So I still need to do that mod to my incubator this go around.
Yeah.
But it's just knowing your chamber inside and out. That really helps. Buys you a lot of flexibility.
There's people that argue too that all this fucking talk about perfect, obviously there's a range, like Bill said, right? There's a range of temps you don't want to fuck with. If you stay within the range, it's fine. But if those eggs are goddamn good, they're gonna fucking go the distance. You know what I mean? I feel, and I mean, this is not me. This is what people like Ryan Young say, that people overthink the whole egg thing the eggs are fucking good. They're good. I remember I was going down the list when I had my shit luck, right? And I said, oh man, I remember I dropped one of the eggs and it rolled. And then Ryan Young instantly told me, he's like, I had a fucking egg drop and roll 50 feet. And and it hatched out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so you really just can't put everything into like, oh, that's why it went. You know what I mean? There's just so many different things, or just maybe those eggs just weren't meant to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But with you, right? Like, I'm curious how the 3 clutches went for you this year. Like, did you?
Great. Yeah, just about it.
100% success rate or what?
Yes. Yeah. I had 2 days before Daytona, I had a sarong drop dead on me, but that's the only thing I've lost. And
it was eating. That snake was eating.
Yeah. He could tell he was right on the edge, and he just died. I fed him. He died, and I'm glad he did it before I went away, because that would have smelled awful.
Yeah, it would have been
bad. But yeah, that's it. Everyone else is thriving. I've got a couple up here I want to show you guys later.
Right.
Everyone's established. Everyone's bangers. And
how many neos in total, Bruce? I'm sorry. How many neos in total?
Right now, I have 29.
29. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And remind me
a couple.
Sarong. I'm sorry. So Sarong,
Aru, and the designer clutch.
The designer, which was a 50% Trooper Walsh bloodline type stuff, right?
Yeah, with a little bit of high yellow in the line. I put the lineage map out on my stories on Instagram if we wanted to look at that. And then the Vitaly Romanoff VR 13.5, that was from his all red clutch, which he felt was red dominant back then.
So Bruce, to your knowledge, do you think you could get a yellow neo if you go red to red?
Oh, I think it depends. I think I heard the panel talk, and John actually had socialized that idea with me before the Traps Giving panel got on. That was a fun show.
Yeah, it was great.
And I'm warming up to the designer side of that, and I think it might be different on the species specific locality side.
I mean, because I know Bill firsthand knows that he's made yellow neos from both parents that were red, right, Bill?
Yeah, and I think it's pretty clear cut. It's funny, I was talking with Justin Zoolander about it yesterday. The inheritance in green trees, red and yellow, it's really pretty clear cut in most cases. Punnett squares where the wild type is red, which would be the dominant. Yellow neos are recessive, and so it's really very easy to get yellow babies out of red parents if they're not capital R parents. If they're capital R small r, which means they're normal type, but they're het for the recessive, which is yellow.
Right.
You breed 2 of them together, and you're going to get 25% of the clutch is yellow, and that's exactly what happened to me. I bred 2 red animals that I raised up from neos, so guaranteed.
It's happened to me multiple times, getting yellows from 2 reds. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even uncommon. It's a 25% chance unless one of the animals is capital R, or what you would call normal type or wild type dominant and doesn't carry the recessive gene.
Yeah, I was thinking that with the designers, we were so mudded up in those that I think we all just consider those polygenic at this point.
Well, Bruce, that's they're polygenic as adults. The phenotype is polygenic, but as babies, as far as producing yellow or red babies, that is not polygenic. That's just that's simple Mendelian Punnett square genetics.
Yeah, I love designers, and I love hanging out with designer people. So I'm willing to drink that Kool-Aid and they'd be like, that's all right. It's not as good as a beer, but sure, I'll buy into it for a while.
I will say designer people and locality people are completely different.
Yeah, they are. Hey,
go ahead.
Sorry, I've lost my train of thought. We mentioned the David Hayson thing, right? Already. Okay. David, and when I started into this, like I had started talking to John and some of our guys, John Irby, and I had really had my mindset that I want to do that too. I just want to make basement mutts. And then I got talking to some of the locality specific guys, and they just won me over. I was like, I want to do them both, and then it just made more sense from a research perspective to chase the species if we could at least somewhat define what it is. And I still hedge, like Maxwell suggests. Sometimes I'll slip in comments and stuff and just say RU, but I'm really meaning RU locality type, because we don't have GPS coordinates on any of that stuff. And that's just kind of, I don't know, that's kind of how I do it.
Well, I got to ask you this, you know, with your bio company, Bioscience, right? It's an LLC. Like, how does it make money? Is it like a nonprofit or something, or like
selling chondros? Selling chondros is what we do.
Oh, so you are selling chondros. Okay, I didn't know. I didn't know if you're just holding them all back for experiment. That's why I wasn't.
No. So I do want to release some. Of course, anything that went under some sort of environment or any kind of thing, I would disclose that to a customer. I mean, those are tied up. So I have to have 4 dark and 4 in UV tied up through OCC. So the majority of those won't leave here. But I had more than 8 in each clutch, and so those were released to the hobby. And yeah, people are really enjoying those.
So
they're very robust.
29 babies. That's a lot of babies. I mean, did you establish a lot of these babies under the UV lights, or was it like in the dark? Where do you feel like you're getting most success at?
The UV ones did seem to establish pretty well.
Wow.
I thought it depends on the strongs. I feel like I've gotten better growth rate out of the ones in the UV than the ones that are in the dark. And then the RUs, I think I just nailed that clutch. I had egg deposition like 49, 50 days after ovulation, which I've been told is just money. And they were just perfect. I could juggle those things and hatched them. You know, they were good eggs. So that's something, you know, I guess when I write it up, we'll have to mention, you know, things like that. But a lot of the stuff, like I'm hoping to publish at a, I know I'm not going to get accepted in the American veterinarian journals and stuff like that. Maybe at the lowest level scientific journal is where I would like some of my work to end up. And that way, maybe a student that finds interest in exploring further research with green tree pythons on a grant in an accredited lab, maybe they can take some of my work and take it to that next step. Like one example I can think of is you have Dr. Warren Booth on the show, and he does the emerald tree boas, and he has students working on that kind of stuff. Maybe he finds some malcontent in his program that isn't too fired up about emerald tree boas and would rather work with green tree pythons.
Well, you know, Warren Booth is malcontent.
He's a malcontent. Yeah, I don't know. But
how's your relationship with Warren Booth? Like, do you guys talk at all or no?
Oh, we talk all the time.
Not you, God damn it, Bill. You're the mayor. I already fucking know. I'm asking this guy.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, me? You know, I don't know. I know him from your show. I'm usually out in your chat room watching these. It's something like that. I'm watching. You know, if you have a you know, a pedigree scientist like that that's actually going into the lab with his animals, I'm going to watch that and try to learn as much as I can from it.
So let me ask you, you know, and this, I guess it makes sense because you're pretty like all about what you're doing, what you're saying about the research behind everything you're explaining. Kind of, you seem very passionate about it, right? So if somebody posted something that is United States captive border bred, but not labeled to your standard or not labeled to your liking, that doesn't make you happy, does it?
Oh, that's for that person to decide. I know where this is going. So I should mention, I do.
I'm just curious why you went after my friend GS Reptiles. What was that all about?
Okay, we'll get to that. So some of what I do in the community locally is I do snake identification for the local community, and I do have people contact me with that kind of stuff. What I do in the what do we call it? The online community. I noticed that something that attracted me to chondros back in 1997 was falling into a state of needing repair or just needing some maintenance. And that was the green tree python breeder's key. And I was like, wow, man, we have overlapping initials. We have Patrick Holmes wasn't even on there. And I'm like, and there's a lot of other people that weren't on there. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I called, I found out who created the original document. It was Keith Thompson. And I messaged Keith and I said, hey, I've noticed the document is kind of degrading a little bit. And it's something, I mean, we have like, what, over 50 years of history. And the Chondro guys have always been known as the best documenters. I'm like,
yeah, that's true.
Do you mind if maybe I pick that up and see if I can get that up to modern code here? And he's like, no, go for it. You know, so
that's when you went around. I remember you're going around. I remember you hit me up. You were hitting different people up during that time. I remember.
Yeah. And so I got everyone up to speed. And through your show, I think that helps. I think we've got over half dozen people that'll go on in the December release.
Where is that now? Where is that now, Bruce? Where is that document?
I originally, before I posted it to where it's at, I shared it on. I put out a solicitation on my personal page, which you're on, Bill, and a lot of other administrators are on. Reptile group administrators are on my personal page. And I just put out an open solicitation that, hey, I've updated this document. If any admin would like it, I would be happy to share it with you guys. No one responded other than his name is TJ Stewart from Green Tree Pythons of America Facebook group. Mm-hmm. And TJ wanted that document, so that's where I share it. It's in their file section, and I update that semi-annually.
Nice. So the document's actually saved on your BMC page on Facebook?
Not on my BMC page. I share that to Green Tree Pythons of America Facebook group, and it's in their file section, and I update that twice a year.
Okay, but you know, I'm just like, I'm curious though. Let's get back to the whole like.
Yeah. We could just. I mean, he's in the chat room. I was Gary. I was just disappointed. I saw that Gary posted the stuff out on MORPH Market, and I was like, well, if it's USCBP, it would normally have some initials associated with it, and I didn't. And so I asked Gary through the MORPH Market interface, hey, what's up with those? Are there any initials or anything? And I just kind of got a short answer. He must have been busy, and maybe he didn't realize that I was managing the document for the community. And so I was like, wow, that just doesn't sit really well with me. We're trying to do our due diligence here to get everyone on there. And so I don't know. I guess that a lot of things that happen in the reptile community somehow grow legs and spin into other stuff. And it's unfortunate when that happens. A lot of stuff spins up that could be solved with a phone call.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, I just there's always an approach, right? I think approach is everything first and foremost. And if you're not used to speaking to somebody on a regular basis, I feel like you should really work on how you can't expect someone to get in length of answer with you when you don't really have a relationship with them. You know what I mean? You kind of have to build that type of stuff. But
I've met Gary at the shows, and I've talked to Gary about my previous experience breeding Savu pythons. I actually bred Dave and Tracy had some of the first Savu pythons from Bushmaster, and I bought those when I visited them, and I bred them. Right. And I was I think it was me and a guy in Florida were the first guys in the U.S. to breed Savu pythons, and I had mentioned that to Gary a while back that hey, I'm a guy from the past that's just been under the radar, and I really love what you're doing with Savu pythons, keeping that going to where it is today. So it's not like Gary doesn't know about me. I'm sure maybe he meets a lot of people and he just forgets.
Yeah. He's in the building for sure. Shout out to Gary.
Hi, Gary. Hey, Gary, I want to show you something here. This is how we did it in the old days. This is my landline. I did all my phone calls on this, and I would have really loved to have talked to you, but I don't know.
Yeah, probably will never happen now, so good job. I'm just kidding.
Well,
We all know we know Gary pretty well, and it's pretty safe to say he's not really a people person.
Yeah, he's also anti-drama. He's also anti-drama though too. You gotta love Gary for being the funny guy and always wanting to have fun. So it's like it's kind of awkward to take it like this to Gary. You know, out of all people, like it's Gary Shabino, dude. You know what I mean?
Let me tell you something that really impresses me about Gary. I've seen him on the show floor, and he is very personable. He's very professional. He usually brings a guest with him, like a friend from his area, and he makes sure that they feel warm and welcome. I think when last time I met him, I was engaged with Andrew Paris talking about some stuff, and he walked right up, introduced everyone, and he's a pro. He is a pro.
He's a character for sure, man. But you know, listen, it's all Bruce. At the end of the day, man, I just you know, we had that phone conversation over the phone not too long ago, you know, when I asked you to come on the show, and I'm glad you did come on the show because, you know, it seems like you're very passionate about something that you feel like not enough people know about, correct? Like you kind of want more people to know and understand why you're doing what you're doing. Is that right?
I get people telling me I'm immature, that I mean, I'm 56 years old. I don't think a lot of people understand.
I mean, fuck, I've seen some 56 ain't shit. I've seen some motherfuckers act ridiculous. You know what I mean? So
yeah. I mean, I'm a dad to a 26-year-old man that's in the workplace, you know, and then he's on his own benefits. And I'm like, sure, I don't know if that fits me. But
why would people think that? Though? Like, what?
I have no idea. I just think there's a lot of misconceptions, especially in the groups. People don't. I mean,
I don't think immature would be the right word that I think a lot of people would describe you. I would say more unconventional.
Mm-hmm. I think that would be accurate. Yeah, I'm definitely unconventional. I've always been that way. When I see the flow, I kind of go a little different direction just to explore that.
I like that. Mm-hmm. I respect that.
So yeah,
it's also like not. As much as it's like, wow, this guy's going all out to figure some of this shit out. But I mean, it's cool that somebody's doing it. You know what I mean? Because there is a lot of back and forth, especially about UV and stuff like that. So to really kind of see where this is going, I think it's interesting. I do.
I had a guy attack me on my personal, on my Facebook business page, and he said something like, "This is nothing but a elementary peas experiment." And I just kind of laughed. I think he meant beans, lima beans. And then also I did that experiment when I was in the elementary and put up my little trifold and everything. And so I understand people get frustrated. They don't really understand what I'm doing. I do keep things at a simple level. I've had people attack me over my web page. I barely was able to set that up. I'm not actually that tech savvy. I like the colors. The colors represent what I'm going for in designers. And they're like, you don't do genetic analysis, because I've got a picture of a lab guy squirting, genetic samples into a tube. And I'm like, yeah, you boxed me in there. I like the colors. Seemed like it matched what I was going for.
So what's your game plan with the designers? Like, what are you looking to do long-term with those?
Well, I love high blue. I love high white, and I've warmed up to high yellow. There's been some comments from me in the past. They always say you regret some things you say in the Facebook groups when you first get in there. And my high yellow opinions, maybe from a couple years ago, have really changed on chondros. I'm really digging those, and I really want to get involved in those. And because I have the potential. It's a slim potential, but because I have the potential in what I just made, I'm hoping something pops out, maybe even a little yellow in the neck or something that I can build on.
Yeah.
But my favorite chondros of all time, Mr. Blue, Frosty, Snow Cone, those are top threes. And then I could go, down. I love the Sickness too. The high melanistic stuff is really cool. It's just a lot of guys are doing it, and it just seems like I don't think I'm going to make a bigger contribution than what's already being made. I love looking at the pictures of them. If I make something that warrants getting more melanistic, I'll bring it in here.
Well,
that could happen.
Don't say that, Bruce. I was just going to say, I mean, anything can happen, and that's what happened to me, and that's why we do designer stuff. That's why the phenotypic stuff, you have no idea what it's going to turn out as. So
yeah,
don't say that you don't have a chance. All it takes is one.
I mean, okay, let's be honest. Has anyone in this chat, or excuse me, in this interview, have made identical designers before? They're all different. Like, have you ever made something like a holdback that looks exactly just like the other holdback? Any of you two, Bill or Marshall?
Not exactly. No.
I've seen some Jaeger babies or some Jaeger offspring that when they've grown up, that you pretty tough to tell Jaeger from his offspring.
So they look pretty. They look pretty dead on similar, is what you're saying.
I'm telling you, Alex showed me a picture of one like a week ago, and I'm not sure I could pick out, other than Jaeger's got very large eyes. Other than that, I'm not sure I could have picked out between the two. So it can happen, but your point is absolutely right, and that's why I think Marshall and anybody that has the designer bug works with them, because they really are like snowflakes.
Do you guys see? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, MJ.
No, you go ahead, Bruce. Go ahead.
Do you guys see like a percentage? Like if you were going like with the flu or something, if you were going for melanistic, do you see like some trend of percentage of the babies that get that pheno, or is it just all over the board?
Marshall, I mean, what do you think? I mean,
I would say normally, like when you breed two melanistic animals together, maybe like, it's hard because you don't know what you're looking at right at first. So you've got to keep up with them for their whole, until they're done with OCC. But it seemed like maybe 10 to, if you're lucky, 20% will have more than the parents. But think about like the first lemon tree chondros from back in the day. The parents for those animals were both solid green, and they ended up being some of the coolest and more famous high yellows ever, and the parents were green. So you just, like Bill was saying earlier, you never can really tell with the designers how some genes may interact with others. And what you might end up with. But if you're going specifically for a certain look, if you're trying to advance a certain look, I would say you'd be doing good if you got 20% of the babies to be better than the parents for whatever trait you were trying to advance.
Yeah, sounds about right to me. And you're going to have, 20% of the babies that are going to, disappoint, so to speak, and then you've got probably the rest that are just going to be somewhat where you predicted that they would be. Yeah, but it's all over the board. That's why I love it.
I'm curious, Bruce, your influence to somebody like wanting to get mentored by you, right? This hobby's it's endless growing, right? There's always somebody who you come across who's solely interested in getting more information and wanting more guidance into this, and especially let's say it's a customer of yours and they're just now starting. Now would you influence them to kind of get a locality established first, or would you tell them to go ahead and get designers? What would you like prefer to somebody who's just coming into this?
I think they should chase their dream if they know what their dream is, and I think that's a hard part for a lot of new people getting into it. You can go into the various groups, and it just seems like it's just a swirl, and I'm not sure those guys are coming out with any kind of goals of what they want to go for. I'll tell you one magazine that I think really nailed it, and it was recent, was that Herpetoculture magazine. I think it was in 2020, volume 8 or something like that. There was like about 4 articles. Marshall, you wrote an article in there on the albino project, and I think he also collaborated on Calico, and then John did the blue line, and then there was another.
Yeah, I didn't write them, just to be honest. I think. Well, actually, you know, you may be right. I definitely helped and gave information. Not quite sure if I would take credit for it, all of it, but
I thought that was a good document to.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of already knew I wanted to do blue stuff. I had already been talking to Irby by that point. But someone that was just coming in fresh, I usually recommend that they dig that up and just read through it and decide. And then there's lots of pictures of them in there too, and decide maybe which route they would like to go.
Yeah, I definitely think.
Yeah, I do remember writing something like a history about the albino project. Now that you mention it, yeah. I mean,
how do you forget about writing something like that? I mean,
dude, I don't know.
What things are you good at, Marshall? I'm just curious. Like, I mean, I would never forget writing something like that. Are you kidding me? I would fucking take that to my grave. You're like, oh, yeah, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. You know, what a flex. I gotta ask you. You know, I'm a big fan of Marshall's Versace line and this tiger stripe stuff. What do you think of that kind of designer line, Bruce?
Me?
Yeah, Bruce. Mm-hmm.
Well, some of that is rooted in Meraki. Is that true?
Yes. Yeah.
Rooted in what? Sorry, say that again.
Meraki locality type.
Meraki. Okay.
So M. Viridis. And man, I love me some Meraki. I've heard people say we need more Meraki in the hobby. Well, the reason why you're not finding them is because I'm buying them. I've got quite a good group of those, and I do plan to work with those quite a bit. I think I'm thinking 2 years away from putting my first Merokis together. But yeah, something like that's rooted in the species or the locality type, I'll always be interested in, and just kind of watch how things are going with it. How do you have albinos going right now, Marshall?
No, I don't have any right now. I have potential to hatch some this year. I have a pet-to-het pair that I think the female is going to go. So we'll see.
I've
got
so they're getting up to a certain age, and then they're not working out for you. Is that what's going on?
Well, I've probably hatched, I don't know, 6 or 7 of them since 2013, and only one has lived past neonate stage. And that one ended up dying of a intestinal blockage of some sort. Did surgery on her, and then she died as a complications of the surgery. So that's the only one that's lived even remotely to, you know, she was, I want to say 2 years old, something like that. Almost pretty much finished with OCC at that point. She had kind of developed that kind of golden color that you see, you know, in the ones from the past. But all the rest of them, you know, I don't know if it's been bad luck or if it's just, if there may be some kind of defect that's tied to the albino gene. But I've just not, they've all been weak babies, you know, runts, not fully absorbed yolks, difficult starters, you know, just shitty, you know, again, could be shitty luck, although with it happening to years, it seems unlikely, admittedly. But I'll also say that I've never hatched more than, I think the very first clutch, the very first time I hatched them in 2013, I got 2 in one clutch, a red and a yellow. And since then, it's been one-offs. So I've never had a good clutch where I've had, you know, more than one, say 3 or 4, to really say, okay, the rest of this clutch thrived, and all 4 of the albinos crashed on me. So, you know, the cool thing is that, you know, Versace produces good looking babies regardless of if they're albino or not. So I'm not going to,
you know, understatement.
Yeah. So I just, whether I ever hit the albinos or not, I'll always be trying. So,
yeah.
Well, there's no choice at this point. They already fucking, you got, I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna ride it out to the end, bro. And
wouldn't it be cool if we found one in the wild? You know, 'cause it seems like that's how they usually start in the other species.
Yeah, sure.
Someone finds one, makes the hets, and then sets us up for success. You know.
I mean,
Yeah, that's right.
That's how this originally started, right?
No, these were produced spontaneously in captivity. The first ones.
Shit. And who was it that did that again? Remind me.
Damon Soucies was the first person, and then Trooper was the second, right after him.
Right. Damn. So if it's gonna be that one-off fucking funky situation, it's gonna be you, Marshall. I already know it. Fresh off a Fish concert, you're gonna do it. I know.
Yeah,
it.
we'll see.
So Bruce, why don't you clarify how many chondros do you totally have? What's the total chondro count in your collection?
I've got 40 adults and subadults, and then the 29 neos. And the representation of the 40, like I said, I tried to get species-specific representatives from the species to limitation. So I'm a little heavy in Merauke. I have sarong. I have sarong. I have a singular Missoul. I have Manokwari, Biak, Yapen, which is a weirdo one. It's a little island that broke off around the Cyclops area. I'm a little heavy in Cyclops.
Are they like a high white Biak? The Yapen, is that how you say it?
The Yapen, they're both yellow. Now there is a red neoform on that island, but I don't have those. I have the yellow ones. They're highly patterned. They got a really nice big full stripe. And they took a while to go through OCC. They just stayed yellow forever. And then when they colored up, they're just kind of an odd color green with that. It's almost like a violet purplish blue to them. And they have a personality in between a Biak and maybe like an Aru. They're inquisitive. And then they just kind of like, oh, okay, it's you. All right, it's not a meal, you know. They're a neat one. I like their personalities.
Your ratio is more female heavy or male heavy? What would you say your ratio is? Your sex ratio?
I'm pretty even. So what I like to do, if I'm into a locality, I just try to get 2.2 and stop. That's usually how the locality guys did it from the days of old. And that way we're not drawing too heavily off farmed or wherever they come from. And that's usually where I stop. That's usually a goal for me is get 2.2. And then if I'm really digging the locality type, any offer that comes my way, I'll consider. And then I really like the CBB stuff, you know. So like on the Cyclops, you know, I've got representatives of Vitaly Romanoff's work. I've got Drew Russell's. That's a knockout pairing. I've got Drew's stuff. I'm eyeballing a guy that's in the chat. I talked to him about his eggs today. And so if someone comes to me and asks for a little mentoring on something, I will kind of look at that and provide suggestions. But if they had a mentor, I'll tell them, stick with that mentor. This doesn't look like my technique, and I may lead you astray. Go to your mentor that set you up this way, that compelled you to start this way. Or make another egg box the way I do it, get that acclimated, and then I'll be happy to help you transfer them over, and then I'll tell you everything I do to get those eggs to the finish line.
Yeah. Now, what's the most you're trying to produce in a year? You know, obviously you have pretty big numbers, but like what are you looking to do, like on an average? If
four or five pairings a year is, I think, reasonable for me, just with my lifestyle, and I do like to have a little free time. So with hitting on 3 this year, I could kind of get a feel for how that felt establishing in them. And sometimes I feel a little cooped up in the basement. I only have one window. Marshall, you got a beautiful colony. I've seen your set up the way you are with the windows and everything.
Love that.
Yeah, man, I could just live in there. But I only got one window, so I get a little stir crazy after a while, and I got to get out and go for a walk. So I don't want to get too heavy. I want to feel like I can still have a lifestyle outside of chondros. So I think that feels like a comfortable number for me is 3 to 5 clutches per year.
Lifestyle outside of chondros just sounds boring. I don't know, man. I'm really happy to be here.
They are a lot of fun. People tell me, man, you got a dream colony. That must be just wonderful.
Yeah.
Chilling down there. And I'm like, it is.
It's so, obviously a lot of snakes, had to be a lot of quarantine that you do, right? Do you have a quarantine process, or how do you manage that?
Yeah. They go into a quarantine area and they could stay in there for 2 years. I'm never in a rush. I do screening both for internal parasites and for viral. And my screens are at the American Veterinarian Association network level. And sometimes I'll send some in through my veterinarian to University of Florida. So I'm an intensive screener, and I look on internal parasites. I look before I leap on treatments. I want to know what they are. A lot of people just pump them full of Panicure and call it a day.
Yeah,
I want to know what I'm chasing first, because there are side effects that people don't realize. If you pump them full of something they didn't need, they can get abscesses. There's some other things that can happen to them, and you can turn
That's actually how a lot of tree monitors that are dying right now, because what happens is these tree monitors are coming in, and the importers are just fucking dumping Panicure in these tree monitor stomachs and then selling them off. And it's actually killing them. It's killing a lot of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then you got to dose it right too. I've got dosing calculators once obviously you got to work through a vet to get the medicines you need sometimes, but you got to dose it proportional to the animal.
Bruce, what viruses are you screening for on the imports to come in?
So nidovirus and cryptosporidium are 2 things I look for on the chondros.
Have you ever got any snakes with nido before?
Yeah, so in my colony, I'm a continuous screener. So I had a baseline. Once I really became aware of the issue, I was like, oh, I need to baseline my colony. And so after I'd finished baselining my colony, I hadn't found it in chondros. I found it in one of those ball pythons I got from Indianapolis that came out of an import shipment. And I asked Dr. Susan Fogelson about it, and she's like, "Yeah, there's typhoid Marys out there. They're asymptomatic. They can do fine, and they'll kill everything that you put in there with it." So I found it in a wild caught ball python, and that's in a area called double quarantine now. She's older than she's probably close to 28 years old and healthy as can be. I'm trying to breed her right now. And then I found it in one farm chondro that I got in. Yeah. And so that was it out of things I acquired, and those are in what I call double quarantine. And then after I got comfortable for a few years dealing with asymptomatic Nido plus animals, I kind of socialized to some people that, hey, I think I've got low viral load here. I definitely have tight biosecurity. I think I could maybe light off another research topic if I could find an animal or 2 to work with. So in my double quarantine area right now, I have absorbed, let me think, 1. I've got 4 more chondros that came in that are in the double quarantine area.
What's the double quarantine? I'm not familiar with that term. What is that?
So in there, that's just a very isolated room. I run I run it to the hilt. I run a UVC air scrubber, HEPA scrubber, in my whole filtration system in the house. I run a MERV 11 filter, which is just a step below. The reason why I do that is because I have an aging furnace that I don't really want to replace right now. So I don't run the main furnace filter with a HEPA filter, but it's right up there. And so then I'm continuously screening those and my colony, and everything's nice and stable.
So are you sending them off to like one of the labs, or how are you screening them?
That's yes. So I'm one of my business partners is Fish Ed. I think I've mentioned. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
And these are the documents they give you when you work with them. And they're a commercial service. Anyone can use these services.
Fish Ed's great.
But they are under the American Veterinarian Association umbrella, and so that their assay has been peer reviewed by the board, and I'm pretty comfortable operating with that because I am trying to do a little bit of research. So that's not to say that the other commercial service is lesser in any way. I think I've met Chad before, and I know he's doing his due diligence. That's how I do it.
Nice.
Have you ever discovered crypto positive animals?
No, thank God. No, I don't want that. That's that. I'll keep that stuff out of here. That's a nasty one. I don't search for paramyxovirus. That's another one that's nasty. But that's not really associated with the species I work with. So I go on what am I working with and what should I be looking for. The sunshine virus is interesting for jungle carpet pythons, but all my stuff is captive born. I'm not taking any wild caught stuff in. So I'm pretty comfortable with how I'm screening those.
When was the last time you got a wild caught chondro?
Well, I've what is that? A wild caught versus a farm. Is that what you're saying?
I consider those the same, to be honest. But go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Farm. From across the goddamn ocean. You know what I mean? When was the last time you got one of those?
Well, I absorbed someone's Nido Pluses about 2 months ago. So those are the
say that again. You absorbed. Say it one more time. You absorbed.
I absorbed a someone's Nido Plus colony.
You absorbed a colony of Nido snakes?
Yeah, 4 of them for research. Mm-hmm. He was going to euthanize them. And there's one of them in there I thought deserved a chance with another Nido Plus snake. And that's I won't say, never mind. I should not say initials or anything on
Wait,
that.
what were the initials?
No, yeah, we should.
Marshall maybe asked. Sorry.
You guys almost got me there. I try to be discreet.
What does it start with? Give me the first one. All right, just give me the first one.
Is the first one M? Just throw it out.
Oh no, is the last one M? How about that? Maybe on the round 2 we can have you spill the beans. All right, Bruce. Because Bruce, hey, respectfully, Bruce, this podcast people spill the beans. You know what I mean? And
yeah, I realize there's an entertainment element to it.
You gave us a couple free holers. I'm not gonna lie, but you can spill some more right now, buddy. Initial won't hurt, but no. But I mean, I wanted to ask you. We don't need to get specifics, but you definitely made some decisions that you wish you wouldn't have made. Meaning some purchases with some people that maybe learned a lesson or two. Have you gone through that?
No, I've had really good experiences in the Chondro community with who I bought from. Yeah, I can't. No. I get to know someone for a while before I buy from them. I think that's maybe that's a good lesson learned.
You got a chance to get on Gary's good side right now. You do have a chance to get on Gary's good side. If you could answer this, it'd be great because he wants the person's initial for the breeder's key.
And I do see that. Thanks, Gary, for the humor. I wish I was more seasoned doing these so I could actually follow the chats. But thanks for throwing that one up there for me.
Gary's been throwing them up all night.
Yeah, roast some wrenches.
Has he really? Yeah. I'll read those later. I won't bug them. That's all right. Everyone. Hey, it's a free country, And I know Gary's been thrown in Facebook jail before. I don't want to see him go there again. He can say what he wants to say. That's fine.
Of course, and he could also respond to people he wants to respond to too. It's a free.
Sure.
Free
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. He doesn't owe me anything. I want you guys.
if someone wants to ask me who the fuck TR is, why the fuck should I tell you who TR is? You know what I mean? So
Right.
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and just know that I don't take that breeder's key thing as I'm the breeder key czar. You know, it's just a document. You know, I just trying to help out where I could help out.
Bruce, Bruce, I get that for sure.
Bruce, you know, we're talking about Gary, but Gary is not the only one in the community that you've kind of butted heads with. I mean, you've got kind of a,
true.
Let me get my list out. We can go down it. What seems to like be the major problem with a lot of the interactions that you have?
Yeah.
It's not a problem. It's just I'm fine in the fire and I feed on the friction. I think if you asked anyone that knows me really well, they just know, all right, that's just Carpenter, you know, and it's just how it is.
I've seen, you know, I've seen the attorneys involved, the threats of litigation.
Attorneys involved? My attorney's never been involved in anything. But if my attorney was involved with something, the people would know.
So
a lot of things take legs. A lot of rumors take legs that aren't true.
So there wasn't an issue between you and David Brahms where you threatened to get an attorney involved for defamation?
There was never an attorney. There was never an attorney involved with David ever. No.
So you were just kidding. It was a joke.
There was never an attorney involved.
Oh, so screenshots tell a lot, buddy. I'm just saying. I kind of saw that you actually almost were going to try to sue this guy over something.
Okay, you don't almost sue anyone. Either an attorney is involved or they're not.
So who are you going to sue next, Bruce? You going to sue Gary next? I'm just kidding.
I'm kind of busy in that department outside of the reptile realm. So
no, listen, we're just joshing with you, man. Don't worry about it. No, listen, I also go ahead, Bruce. What are you gonna say?
The show is built on a little bit of that, and that's why I come to your show. I learn a lot from it too, but there's times, you know, there's times where it's like, man, I need to watch this one. This could get interesting.
No, I mean, one thing you and I have in common is like we're good at pissing people off. You know what I mean? But thing is, like I feel like people give me the reason. You know what I mean? Like I feel like, okay, you've done that to MJ, he's gonna come at you. But I'm wondering what people did to you. That's all I'm wondering. Like, why are you like, you know? I'm not giving myself excuses here. I'm just saying.
I think I'm just a very assertive person, and if I do try to handle things in private. If I see that there was maybe some conflict in a group or something like that, I will try to get that person off on the side and not make it a public event. And I don't do the screen capture thing and all that kind of stuff. That I'm just not involved in that. I've got too many better things to do. And I do understand that that's part of modern social media. And
well, yeah, because people try to say things and then take it back, and that the whole reason behind screenshot is because motherfuckers can't do that. The screenshot, you know what I mean?
Or a screenshot is just it can be easily taken out of context if you don't have the full thing. I noticed in the recent screen captures that were sent to me that none of my responses in that particular group were available to be seen. And I think if people had seen those, they would say, oh, yeah, he's actually just saying, well, in this situation, this person was in this role. And yes, he is a good breeder, a well-known breeder. And, you know, all of that stuff I thought was neutral. I saw that particular feed going into the dumpster fire mode. And I really didn't want to do that to TJ in his new group. So I pulled the post.
Well, I will say, Bruce, you and I have always gone along, you know, and sometimes it doesn't take much for me to go fucking full MJ on somebody. And I've always felt like, man, I got no problem with Bruce, but it was also funny to see you have problems with other people when I'm like, well, this is funny. Like, this is kind of crazy to see because you were very respectful to me enough to where we'd always have that mutual respect with each other. You know what I mean? So I just think you should always always approach somebody that you don't assume. You know, I don't know. I think you should always just have that respect. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? No matter what.
Yeah,
no matter
absolutely.
what, and that could just take you far. You know, I feel like that's all.
I think one thing that we would all agree on is, and of the four of us, Marshall's been in this community, longer than anybody, but the green tree community has always policed itself.
Yeah.
Right. And so, we've had our fair share of people, that have butted heads. And but the bottom line is we're not afraid to call out somebody that's either giving misfactual information, not being transparent with either animals that they have or they release, or just that kind of stuff. It's a small enough community that we're able to do it, and we're able to do it pretty vigilantly. And I think it really speaks for our community.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I love the Chondro community. They don't fuck around. You know what I mean? Like you even said earlier, Bruce, like the Chondro community were known to be the best document keepers,
Absolutely.
And I respect, and that's why I feel like, say what you want, but look what you're doing. You're creating more information for us to live with, and and that to me, that makes you very relevant, so.
I think of this, like even these shows, as kind of like artifacts captured in time. And someone may stumble upon them years from now. And I do want to mention this, and we all have this. We all have the assertive right to change our minds. So something we say now might not be something we believe in the future. So hopefully someone maybe 3 years from now that watches this and says, hey, you said this about Maroki or whatever. Maybe I'll change my mind.
I mean, I could have sworn I've hated certain people, and then I met Bill, and then Bill's like, changed my mind on it. So it's like, you never know, man. It's just like you
hated Bill?
That's not what he said.
You though, Marshall, you son of a bitch. I'll just
Uh-oh.
I think
MJ froze up.
I think MJ froze up.
He sure did.
I think he's trying to make the point though, where, and it goes back to really Bruce's point, where, just because something happens, it is not, whether it's something that you believe in, something you say, or somebody you even interacted with, that doesn't mean that's where it stops. I mean, I think, and
that's right.
Bruce, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't mean a year from now, 2 years from now, or 3 years from now, relationships can't change, thought processes can't change, opinions can't change.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. I've had, I'll always try to build a relationship with a guy I see that, maybe, we definitely lost MJ there. And then I'll be surprised if I get shanghaied on a group with something. I'm like, man, I've been talking to that guy for like a year. And then I don't know. I don't know how things sometimes happen. I just think in message form, things can come across cold and in person. And that's why I go to the shows, is people get to interact and see that there's more to a personality than just a comment written in a message thread.
Yeah, it's very easy for things to be taken out of context and for things to escalate unnecessarily on social media versus, you think you don't like somebody and then you meet them in person and, they're really not that bad. Happens all the time.
Yeah, I can tell you guys, when I go to shows, I've enjoyed everyone I've met. I meet new people every time I go. And I can tell you the last Tinley I went to, I came home from that like, man, that was just the coolest ever. And I had just been to Daytona where I thought, man, that was the coolest ever. So I think the shows are still the place, man, to solidify relationships.
I agree.
100%. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. That's the only reason I go. I don't go to vend. I just go to hang out, meet people, and
I barely go to look at animals.
Right. Same.
Marshall, we spend quote 2 days there, but we're in and out of that place, pretty
soon as the bar's
quickly.
open, we're out. Soon as the bar's open, we're out of the show.
Exactly.
I like to have fun after the shows too. That's part of it. I like to be in the show environment, on the show floor. That's another thing I would say. I respect the showroom floor. I've heard of things getting pretty nasty. But there's children and stuff around, and we're trying to build this community up. That is the wrong place and the wrong time to have a problem. You know.
Are you guys good? I'm so sorry. I was hoping you guys didn't just fucking leave and end it.
We've had a lot of fun at your expense, MJ.
Yeah, well, my internet modem decided to reset itself, so I apologize for that. What I missed? What do you guys? Who we talking shit about now?
You.
Oh, really?
You.
Really? Am I the initial guy?
Do you guys want to see some snakes?
Yeah, let's do that. Because listen,
Sure.
we're gonna wrap up questions here. So why don't you show us the snakes you want to show us before we get to that?
Okay, I got a few, and I brought a few out. I know Bill loves reds, and I know a lot of the viewers love reds, so I brought some of my reds out too, so I didn't make people fall asleep with my locality specific yellows that I really love. We'll start with my MA Polker Sarong locality type from this year.
Oh, I hear gloves.
Oh yeah, we glove up for everything here. Tight biosecurity. This one's active. I might get nailed, which will be fun.
Gary's gonna love it. Let's see it.
Let's see if we can.
Yeah, your internet quality isn't the best, just so you know, Bruce. So it's gonna be kind of hard to see, but we have an idea. So keep doing your.
Okay. So that is from Molly Cross Sal. Sal was the sire on that one.
Can you guys see that? It's kind of hard to see, huh?
I saw it.
You couldn't see it? You could not see it?
Yeah.
No, we saw it. We're good. We're good. Keep it coming through.
Okay. And that was the 2023 sarong. I also did in 2022 Molly. It's actually a Gill Cross Molly. So different sire, same female. And I got to tell you, man, an aging sarong female is just so cool. They get a little bit of that hormonal going, and Molly's isn't going away now. And I don't care how I get blue. Yeah, I'd like to get it out of the designers, but if I can get blue out of just a pure locality as it slowly ages, I'll take it. Looks gorgeous.
I think one of my most bluest snakes I have was a yellow neo monocory.
Nope. This is get this out here.
Is that a double quarantine containment or what is that?
So this is kind of how I step out, grow out. This is a Cambro, and then I make my own perches. Those are Pex perch. That if anyone needs those, I do sell those on my website. And then this would be the largest grow out before I give them their forever home. Those are 3D printed materials that I make.
Do you mind telling us what you keep your adult females and your adult males in?
Well, they're okay. I have two types. I have. I didn't want to mention the vendor's name. I didn't want to disrespect your sponsor. Do you want to just know the materials, or
you can? You can say, dude, they're not. You're fine. Go ahead and say the vendor's name. It's fine.
The old school ones are Vision 222s that I modified. I cut out the shroud out of them. Oh, cool. And then the newer ones are Toad Ranch. The Visions are a little bit bigger. They're almost 28 inches wide and then a little bit deeper. And then the newest ones I got a bank of Toad Ranch 2x2x2s, and I proofed those out for breeding chondros with the RHACS clutch, and that's the best clutch I've ever made today. So I think it's the wall thickness, the insulation factor, the R value, whatever you want to call it, in the newer PVC cages that all the vendors are using about the same materials. It's going to be a syntactic foam core with two face sheets bonded together, and it's about 0.45 inches thick. It's very lightweight and easy to assemble, easy to clean, and those you can really get that nice insulation in there. I think that helps breeding a little bit.
All right, show us this next snake. Let's go.
All right. So this is this one might nail me too. Oh, good. It's settled down. Yep. This one's a girl. So this is BMC 22-2. And what I like about the sarongs, can you guys see that?
Yeah, we can see it. We're good.
What I like about the sarongs is their OCC is just so slow. And it just seems like it, I'm not sure if it ever stops really. But this one I named Gray Poupon because it's just kind of an OCC hang fire. But it is starting to take on a little bit of a green hue. And she's got a really nice head stamp on her too. If I can get
So this is a 2022, you said?
BMC 22-2, and your buddy has one. BMC 22-1.
Who's my buddy? Which one? I got
Juan.
one. Oh, you got
Juan.
Juan
Juan.
is one of your snakes? Really?
Yeah, he's a sharpshooter, man. He gets everybody's good stuff.
Yeah, he's cool. I didn't know he had your snake though. That's cool. I had no idea.
Oh, yeah. Now Juan's so the pure stuff will his is a male, and it went on fast, and he contacted me to ask about that. It's like, yeah, that thing's fasting already, man. Just kind of hang in there. Don't force feed it. It's gonna come out. And it did. Yeah.
Damn.
All right, so that's that one.
How many more you got, Bruce?
Oh, we'll get to the fun stuff.
Oh man,
I got one Aru and then two of the designers that are red. We'll get this yellow one out of the way, and we'll get to the fun stuff.
We'll get more viewers in here once the red stuff starts coming out.
I know. I got a lot of people viewing these Arus. I got to tell you that they were both from high white parents. There's smoke shows, and you'll see it here in a second. I see the path for high white. It's encouraging. I've been told that doesn't always fill in, but to see the path is actually, that's a start. And we just got to hope for the white dots coming in afterwards. This one is being kept dark, and it is starting to go through a little bit of OCC, a little bit of green on the head.
That's cool.
And I don't know if you guys can see the path on it or not, but it is starting to develop a little bit of the path for white down the vertical stripe there. And then there will be some white that comes in along those markings too.
Oh, so it's Aru.
And these things, yeah, this is pure Aru, yeah. And Aru locality type. And these things, they're so they greet me in the morning when I take them out. They just want to climb on me. They're very cool snakes, and I just really enjoy them.
Awesome.
All right, so let's get to some red stuff.
Finally. Just kidding.
I know. We give you guys some reds.
Yellows are hot. Hey, how many?
I had a look. I mean,
how many pair of gloves you go through a day, Bruce? I'm just curious.
A lot. Yeah, a lot. And
are you changing gloves every steak?
Yes.
You can't hear that.
Absolutely.
Oh wow.
Absolutely. Yeah. High biosecurity here, the highest. I mean, I told you guys what I got. I mean, you can't. I drive the wife crazy. A shower in between, colony maintenance and stuff. I work the double quarantine on a separate day.
Yeah, the guy has a Nido project. I'd be doing the same thing. If I had a Nido project, I'd be fucking changing gloves to eat cereal.
Yeah, and you got to. If you're gonna do it, you really should be continuously screening, man. Just don't rest on your laurels ever. This one I haven't named. But yeah, all right. This one I haven't named, which may be encouraging for people that might be interested in it, but it's staying here.
Looks nice.
I think it behaves female. So because of my interest in M. viridis, I'm a little low on reds, and so I just made my own, and I just I don't know. I just really enjoy them.
That thing looks sick.
So, thank you. Yeah, I really like how I think the Cyclops really plays in well to these, and I'm just really happy with how they're turning out.
Damn, Bruce, you're not playing, my man. Beautiful lineup.
Thank you, and I got more coming. I got breeding going on downstairs. I got hotter stuff coming. But I'll just kind of keep that a secret. It's bad luck to talk about stuff you haven't made.
Yeah, or give out initials and whatnot. We get it.
Yeah. Well, that's all. That's all Nido negative downstairs. That's all the cherry stuff.
I got a wrap up
Got
question
one
for
more.
you, Bruce. Oh,
I got one more I got to show you.
Tell me one more.
This one. Yeah, this one is named. This is Velvet Jones. That's what I named it. It looked like chocolate velvet cake coming out, and I wanted a funny name, and I knew Christian already had velvet, so I wanted to go something different than that. And
Velvet Jones.
Velvet Jones, yeah. I think that's like Eddie Murphy character from something or other.
I feel like I'm getting a physical. Like I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I'm fucking like getting fucking anal checked.
You hate that sound of the gloves coming out.
I don't like that sound, man. I get PTSD from that shit. Wow,
this
that's
one
fucking
is
nuts.
this one is starting to lighten up now. But when it was baby, this was my darkest one. This one, and I named another one Air Jordan. They were my two darkest ones, and now they're starting. These are both 35 grams, so they're starting to kick in a little bit and lighten up a little bit. But yeah, this one has really nice blacks edging around all the diamonds, and just really consistent all the way around.
Dude, that thing's
Great
fire,
eater.
bro.
Nice.
That's a nice one. I like that one big time.
Thank you.
Ooh, that's gonna turn out nice.
Yeah, this one can make some noise on the forums. Sometimes I get a chilly crowd on my stuff, especially on the yellow stuff, or after a controversial comment, I notice the crowd gets chilly. I do notice that. So, so yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Chondro people are fickle, but hey, the snake doesn't care about any of that, you know? The snake doesn't know what our social media stats are.
Actually, I'm just kidding.
I think, they don't talk. If I crack the code on that.
Good stuff, my man.
Thank you so much.
I loved it when the red stuff came out. That was awesome. My color stuff.
I like
All
it too.
Check it out. Marshall, Bill, if you don't mind, get a wrap-up question ready for Bruce, and I'm going to go first, okay? Obviously, Bruce, you're very in-depth with a lot of the documentation, the just the UV research. You got a lot of stuff that you are very passionate about keeping records of. But let's say some of the standards as far as record keeping for a new keeper. What would you say? What would be important for a new keeper to be keeping record-wise? You know, as far as like a 101 standard for you. You know,
feeding, sheds, weights from time to time. I always ask people, "What's the weight?" You know, if they come to me with a question, where you at? What's the weight? That's the one that gets them every time. I don't know. I've never weighed my steak. How do I do that? So pre-weigh your purchase, and then you can just put the whole thing on your scale and back out what the weight of the animal is. I think those would be three good things to do.
How did you like to keep track of your weight? Like, how often are you like writing down the weights of your snakes?
Well, it depends. So the things that are actually under an experiment, those are getting tracked monthly. Like on the designers, those aren't part of an experiment. I actually just weighed those two before the show here, just so I could tell you guys where they're at their stage. But yeah, just every so often. And then as I have females that I think are getting mature enough to breed, I'm watching their weights there too.
Respect. Right on. All right, who wants to go next for Bruce?
I'll go. So, have you found any UV exposure to have any effect on the OCC, or is it too soon to tell?
So that's interesting. On the M. viridis, I'm noticing a bit of accelerated OCC from the controls that are kept dark. And then on the sarongs, it doesn't seem like there's that much difference. And then I'm thinking maybe that's because they're closer to the equator up on the bird head there. And so maybe they're just genetically programmed to deal with the UV levels better.
So the ones that aren't getting UV are actually changing more rapidly than the others? On
the sarongs, they're about the same, UV versus dark candidates. And on the RUs, the UV candidates have a little bit of accelerated OCC. I'd say maybe
Interesting.
a month or two in advance. Yeah. And I do socialize. So there are other RU breeders in the US that I socialize with. So, I mean, if I see that I'm cooking these things, like these are snakes that I think are going to be really beautiful someday. I don't want to ruin them. I socialize with other RU breeders. If they say, hey, that looks like those things are looking UV burned, I'll pull the plug on the experiment. You know, it's not worth ruining really good animals over. So I do actually socialize every once in a while with a couple guys. Here's how they're looking. What do you think?
Nice. All right, Bill, what you got?
Bruce, I just wanted to, I have a question, but first I wanted to caution you a little bit about, we're both scientists. I'm a big fan of the scientific method. But when you have a control group of 4 and a study group of 4, then, I think that it's more appropriate to say that you're making observations in a very small sample size other than
absolutely.
A scientific study, so to speak, because we can talk about p-values and all that, what it requires to, have studies that have a true positive, false positive, all that kind of stuff. And
that's absolutely correct. And that's one thing I haven't talked about is there will be a statistic element to this, similar to like a B basis type of 90% confidence versus 99% confidence.
Yeah, so you're talking about really a sample size in the hundreds, if not 1,000 animals.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I totally agree with you, Bill.
Okay, so anyway, that's obviously not my question, but I think it's important to just bring that out because everything we do in chondros, even Rico is the most noted, really scientist when it comes to chondros. In my mind, he's the one that really laid down data points, but really the sample size and all this stuff is so small we can't even really begin to describe them as scientific studies. But
absolutely, it's a great comment.
Having said that, my question is, what would be the next thing that you would want to make observations about after the UV exposure? What would be the next thing you'd modify? Would it be feeding, or would it be environmental, how you kept them in enclosure wise? What would be next?
Oh, yeah. So basically saying environment and pheno together. I think the feeding is interesting, and I've seen a lot of discussions in this show, and then in the different forums in the Facebook groups, and people come up with some really good ideas on maybe there's a dietary element. So yeah, I think I would be interested in looking at the feeding side a little bit to see how that plays in. Yeah.
Different.
I just don't know what, I don't know what we would try.
You could try ASF pinks versus mice.
Yeah, that would be a good one. Sure, I'll write that down.
Or Bill, what about the whole experiment with the chicken hearts and liver or something like that? Remember you were having success with that, Bill, or something like that?
Well, again, not an experiment, just something that I tried that was working well for me. Instead of assist feeding pink heads or mice tails to actually use chicken gizzard. I just felt, again, no scientific basis for it, but I felt the nutritional value of a appropriate sized piece of chicken gizzard was better than a mouse tail or a pink head. And so that's what I used this year to assist feed my neos.
Yeah, I have had really limited luck with organ meat. Liver has worked a little bit. I had not tried the chicken gizzard before. I after you had mentioned it, I did try that on one stubborn one I had, but it didn't go. That's one weird thing I've noticed is these things. It's almost like they play head games with you. On some of these, I went about 12 deep in my bag of tricks, and then they lit off on when I went back to just a pinky with no sinking.
Dang. Well, shit,
like,
Bruce.
Oh, I was bored with all your tricks. Now I'll just eat what you originally offered me.
Well, man, Bruce, 2 hours went by very fast. I got to say, this was a great episode. I'm really happy to kind of get a little bit more in depth as what you have going on. Because like I said, man, I see the passion. I like it. We had just shy of 80 people tapped in at one point tonight. What do you like to say to all the love and support that you had during the episode and everyone who just is out there rooting for you? What do you have to say to all your supporters, buddy?
Thank you so much for tuning in. I do appreciate all the support. I'm not as big as some of the newer generation and the social media numbers, but I do watch those. I find the algorithms interesting and stuff like that. I do appreciate.
You want to be big someday, Bruce? Is what you're saying? You do want to be big?
I do what I do, and that'll be cool if I have the numbers of a Bill Stagel or Gary Schiavino or Marshall. Marshall's got great numbers. I looked at those before the show. I'd like to keep the numbers even. Yeah, between my Instagram and my Facebook, I'd like to keep those numbers in check, as I come up. But yeah, I do appreciate everyone's support, and yeah, we're a small community. To the outside world, we're all a bunch of weirdos that like green nebulous snakes or colored nebulous snakes. I would just hope we could all get along maybe just a little bit better and just understand that's all we need in common is that we have that. It's cool if we have more in common, but that's all we really need is that, right?
Yeah, but maybe sometimes who gives a fuck who TR is, man? Just have a good day, Hey, guys, please. Okay, first and foremost, before we let you go, Bruce, best way for people to be on top of what you have going on, anyone who wants to follow you, would that best be Instagram, right? Instagram's the best way to be on top of that, or Facebook?
Yeah, it seems like the Instagram's going well. The pictures do wonders. Less words, and it's at BMC Bioscience LLC. I think there's a couple slashes in there, but you can find me. Just search a part of that, or Bruce Carpenter, and it'll pop up. And then I appreciate the follows on my business page. That's also bmcbioscience.com.
Yeah, I have both those links in the description below. So, guys, please go give Bruce a follow. And, give it up. It's a wrap for episode 421. Bruce Carpenter, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Bruce. See you later. Sorry, Bill's not clapping.
Yeah.
I said thank you, Bruce.
See you guys.
Have a good night, Bruce.
See you, Bruce.
All right.
Damn, you guys are mean, bro. You guys are all mean.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
I waved and said thanks, Bruce.
That was a great episode, man. That was great.
Here you go, MJ.
What? What do you guys think, though? Honestly, what's your feedback on tonight's show?
Okay, listen, I'm gonna be straightforward and honest here.
Hit me
He
with
did
it.
a lot better than I thought he would. Unfortunately, it was like Joe Biden's debate against Trump. It was like, where did that come from? I wasn't expecting that. I mean, I thought he was going to lose his cool. I thought he was going to break down. I thought he was going to have a tantrum. But I thought he did very well.
Me too. I thought he held it together. What do you think, Marshall?
I came in with no expectations, so I thought it was great.
Yeah. What do you think of?
I think he's a little bit more than a bit of a bullshitter. I think he's a big bullshitter, and I think he has just enough knowledge, scientific knowledge, to be dangerous. I always know people like that because they will start spouting out I'm telling you, they're called pontificators, and they will try to elevate the conversation and use words that they think the audience won't know what it means. And it's a defense mechanism, and it is a number one red flag for a bullshitter.
Yeah. And listen, can't bullshit a bullshitter.
I'll take him all the way to the mat. I'll take him all the way to the mat on that stuff.
Yeah. And, but listen, maybe after coming on the show, he's going to kind of maybe learn a thing or two, because at the end of the day, I was asking simple questions and not getting answers to it at all. Like I was getting all this like, well, why are we rapping just give me the number. Like it's a simple fucking question. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it could just be like him maybe not being comfortable at first, or who knows, but God damn it. If I ask you something, Give me the fucking answer. That's all I want. You know what I mean?
And you know, a lot of times he would pontificate and then he would give you an answer, and it would be an appropriate answer. So I don't know. I think he did very well.
Right.
And Gary, of course, you knew he was going to be here. This is way past Gary's bedtime. Are you kidding me? I mean,
and the guy's he's sick in bed too, but he ain't gonna go to bed for this one. He was fucking ready to rock.
I got to figure out how to look at the comments during these things.
Oh, Marshall, we don't need any distractions, Marshall. I don't think you need to look at the comments. I think you should. It already. I mean, Bill does a good job at answering questions because I ignore the shit out of people in the chats, you know. But Bill's doing a good job at answering. He's doing the mayor's duty.
Yeah,
he answers in the chats.
That's what I'm supposed to do. I mean, MJ, you're focused and should be focused on the guests, but I'll try to answer as much of this stuff as I can.
I only answer super chats, buddy.
Marshall, how did you think he presented himself? The information that he gave? Did you think he was
same? I think I agree with you. I think that its sample size is very small. I think he has, I think his intentions are good. I think he's, but is he following the scientific method? Which, I'm not a scientist. I don't claim to be one. Is he? But I know a little bit about it, and maybe like him, enough to be dangerous. Is he following the scientific method? Does he have a hypothesis? Does he, how is he accounting for, the difference from one animal to the next? It's just genetics, because we all know that chondros, they don't all change at the same time. They don't. So
they grow at different rates, whether they
right
or not. Some get bigger faster. Some eat, but I mean,
that's right.
It's all scientific.
That's right. So they all change color at different times, so he could have one that changes color because he's giving it UV, and you know what? Maybe that one was going to change first anyway. Who knows?
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. A sample size of 8 is a fucking joke. But at least he didn't double down and try to say, oh, it is scientific, because of the Progethium therium, he didn't. At least he agreed that it's purely observational. And
and I mean, if he produced 29 babies last year, that's decent numbers,
Well, Bill, when you went from scientist to scientist, I think he knew right then and there, like, I can't fucking really, challenge anything that you're saying, because you're all, like you said, you just want things to be clarified on this episode. You know what I mean? And
there's nothing scientific about chondros. I know scientific studies, and there's no way you ain't getting anywhere near the numbers. If you had the world's population of chondros in one lab, then maybe you could start, doing some scientific, knowledge and some numbers in that. No way, baby.
Yeah. Well, fuck, guys. I appreciate you two so much. What a good episode. Marshall, Bill, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your night. I'll see you guys here next week. But guys, give it up for my two fellas here, Marshall Mendez and Bill Stiegel, ladies and gentlemen.
Good night.
Clap, Marshall. Clap for yourself, you son of a bitch. I'm just kidding. Hey, have a good night, guys. I appreciate you guys.
All right, peace. See ya.
Bill, see you later, buddy.
All right, bud.
Peace out. All right, guys, it's a wrap for this episode. 421 in the books. I had fun. No, this was fun. I hope you guys had fun too. Get the likes up, please. Hit the like button if you enjoyed tonight's episode, and hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell that we're on top of every single episode. It is Tuesday. We have one more Trap Talk for this week. Thursday is going to be a banger. I hope you guys are ready. Episode 422 with a good buddy of mine, man. But we weren't buddies for about a couple years. So we're going to talk about it. Oh, we're going to get to it. Riley Jimison of Riley Reptiles coming back to the trap. Oh, Riley's been on the trap before. It's just been a few years. But man, do we have a lot to catch up on. We have a lot to talk about. Carpets will be discussed. Best believe it. But set that reminder, man. It's going down Thursday, 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Riley Jimison. Everyone have a good night. It's a wrap for episode 421. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. I'll see you guys here Thursday, and I'm out. Cheers.